Hello everyone, my name's Bottletophornet and welcome back to another episode of Minecraft. We are over in this little area next to my moss farm where we're going to work on a kelp farm today. Now, you may notice we've got a little bit of dynamic lighting going. I wanted it back. I wanted my connected glass textures, and there's just nothing that really does it quite like Optifine. So I'm using Optifine now, and we do have this dynamic lighting, which is very handy for keeping me well lit and different bits and pieces like throwing away light sources. Yeah. But I'm going to sleep and I'm going to prepare a few items, and this episode is going to be pretty light on. I'm not going to do any big building. I'm not going to do anything crazy. I just kind of want to get this out of the way and sort of finalize this area a little bit before we head back to the end and use the moss from this farm to decorate. So let me take care of this guy, go sleep, and I'm going to grab some materials, and we're just going to go through a nice, chill, relaxing farm build, see what it turns out like, and hopefully it's a good episode. So give me a second, I'll go sleep, and I'll see you guys back here. So, we've got a little bit of crafting to do. I've only got one piston here, and no observers left. So I'm going to have to get up. Oh, that's a glitch. Probably something to do with my Optifine. We'll just ignore that for now. But I've got some quartz together, we'll fortune it up, and we'll make a bunch of observers and a bunch of extra pistons. And this should be a fairly simple farm to make, so we're just going to go through it casually, see whether I can come up with something interesting, and go from there. Cool. There was definitely something weird about that middle bit. So, for starters, how many of these can I make? Do we go for a full 64? Sure. We're going to do this with 64. That does mean I'm going to need a little bit more of this. Thankfully, we now have this up and running, this iron farm. So getting the iron for these is pretty easy. Yeah. Oh, it's even into the next one. Good. So that's been chugging away. We can grab 64 of those and pretty much just combine it up to make... Oh, we need some extra redstone. Yeah, 64 of those. Cool. Didn't need the one extra, but that's all right. So now it's just a matter of grabbing the materials that we want to build this out of. We're going to build the outside sort of simply to start off with, and then we'll add some details afterwards. But we might grab... It looks like we might not have enough spruce. All right. A little bit of spruce gathering to do, but then we should be good to go. Wait. Let's check. Ha ha ha. Perfect. I really need to come back here and sort this stuff out a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to make this 16 wide, and I want to do this in a bit of an interesting way. I'm going to try and make this work. We'll see whether it actually does or not in the end. So I'm going to come out this way a little bit extra to probably about here, and I'm going to bring this up to a height that I feel like will work. Let's have a look. Yeah. That seems pretty decent. In fact, it's maybe even a smidge high for our needs. Oop, can I land on there? First try. From here, I'm actually going to use some temporary blocks and go across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and pop up another side of here. And there. That is going to be a hopper line. Basically, I want... maybe a hopper line. We'll see how this works. I want to build up two sides to this farm staggering down, where all of it rises up slowly to the top and then slides back down into the middle to a centralized sort of line, I guess. And then that will go into a sorting system or into a smelting system that we can set up. So now I might grab some of this deep slate. I feel like that's going to be the nicest looking. And we're going to start to set up a little bit of a farm. This is essentially the exact same setup as a sugarcane farm. I believe this should still work, where we have a block, a piston, and then a observer sitting on top of that, like so. The kelp grows up. Once it hits its third stage, the observer makes the piston fire, and we're good to go. So, if this is the very, very top, it should be pretty easy to set these up. First thing I need to do is make it so that they're facing the correct direction. And the reason why I'm starting from the very top is so that I'm sure that we hit this perfect point in the middle rather than having to calculate it sort of backwards, if that makes sense. So I can come across like this, 2, 3, 4, 16, 16, and do the same on the other side. And looking at this now, I'm thinking that it'll actually probably end up being 128. It's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be way too much, but doesn't really matter. The combination of this overflow going into some bone mealing, this overflow going into bone mealing, and the bone meal that we're gathering from the poppies here, which, yeah, it's slow, but I guess we'll just have a permanent supply of bone meal that we never have to work to. I love the rain. But yeah, we'll just make sure the overflow goes into a bone meal. Cool. Now, before we go too much further, I actually want to check the overall height and see how it's going to look. So I might do a little temporary something. From here, we're going to have 2 blocks underneath and then the block that it's sitting on. But the block that it's sitting on can actually be an observer. Now, I know that's not the correct direction, but it will do for now. Then we have another 2 like this, which would be our piston and the block that gets powered by the redstone, all sort of sealed away, not having to worry about getting waterlogged or getting washed away. And then we can sort of just repeat this pattern like that. Now I'm thinking that maybe 64 on each side is a little much. So we'll go 3 high. That means I can lower this probably another 2 or even 3. I might go 3 lower. So let me fix that up. Let me bring it down by 3 so it's not too large and ridiculous looking. And then we'll start to set it up the whole way down. Yeah. Okay. That is rebuilt. And I added the redstone in the middle. So now I can put the pistons across here. Not like that. Oh, God. Oh. Ah. I think maybe we need some scaffolding. And if I remember correctly, I might have left some in a place we haven't visited for quite a few episodes, almost half the series so far. So let's head down here. In fact, probably haven't been here since we got Elytra. Also, God, I love having Optifine so that you don't have the fog. Does make things a little bit easier. Ooh, you also find more bastions. So over here, where I dug out the giant iron vein, I think somewhere here, well, I know there's that there. We got a lot of tough, a lot of deep slate. There we go. Scaffolding. Perfect. God, that was a lot of work. We'll have to come back here and grab all of this sometime soon. He says about every single place he has stuff stored. Goodness me. But now... perfect. I'm going to set up this side first so that we still have access to the back to do all of our redstoning. But what I should be able to do here is place our new observers. Yeah, every single one of those is wrong. It's going well. Now we just repeat this pattern the whole way down. Should be pretty simple. We need a line across the top of here so that we don't allow water through. Oops. And a line on the back of these pistons to put our redstone. I think that's actually going to look really cool once we set it up. Nice. So, another layer under here, and then, beautiful. That, and then we're going to have the exact same on the other side, so I do need to make 32 more of the observers and 32 more of the pistons. But we can have this down just a little bit lower, so that we kind of have this cool looking dip into the farm from the walkway over here, which I'll set up in just a second. But let me get the other side finished. Oh, put a little bit of redstone on here. And essentially that is the mechanics of the farm done and dusted. We'll have a nice little area in the middle, which will be completely free space. We could do some stuff in here, even make the items travel down, we'll see. But once that's up and running, we'll have this nice little shaped area that I feel like it will fit into this industrial area quite nicely, just to have this thing on the edge of the water. All right. Let me finalize getting all this set up, and then we can start decorating. All right, so that is essentially the redstone part of this farm. Let's have a look from the sky. Yeah, I kind of like that. Starting to fill this area in a little bit with some farm buildings, and it does mean that I'm getting more inspiration for expanding out this way. Now we need to make a glass containment unit. So we need glass. And for glass, we can probably use our villagers. First thing I'm going to do is just put away a bunch of this stuff. I'm not even going to bother sorting it just now. Maybe I'll do a little bit of sorting. Put away some of it. And we're going to grab a bunch of iron, like so. Iron farm's still working. And I can come over here and trade with these guys. We'll wait and see if they refresh. Probably going to get an iron golem first. I hope so anyway. There we go. Did we get another one? We did. And then trade again. Probably the biggest perk of having this farm set up like I do is getting more emeralds. It's made a huge difference. Previously, I was sort of just getting enough emeralds to get by, and then I'd use them all again. Whereas now, I'm starting to get a bit of a surplus, which is always good. And I can also trade with these three to get some extra. Beautiful. Now it's just going to be a matter of trading with these guys as much as I can. Probably tomorrow's trades as well. And I'm thinking for this one, I might make it white glass. So while I let them refresh their trades for the day, we're just going to come across to where I know, a bunch of spare bone meal, like so. And that'll be more than enough to make ourselves a bunch of white dye. Let's see whether we get one more trade out of them. I don't think we will though. So while we wait for that day to go by, we'll do that, turn that into a bunch of white dye, and start the process of setting up a containment tank. Now we're going to maintain mostly the same sort of color palette or the same block palette, set ourselves up with these bricks everywhere, and I am just going to make the bottom of it follow suit, put down some of the cobbled deep slate, and we should be good to go. This is partially why I decided to switch back to Optifine. Just because having a farm like this without the connected textures, it really does just become this blocky mess. Truly, I believe this should be added to vanilla. I see literally no reason for each individual block of glass to have a border on it, especially when you want to make windows out of it. But I digress. We're going to build this up, probably trade a little bit more glass, and then we'll get to flooding it. I think what I'll do is pop some bricks across a little bit like this to cover up these sides, and that'll go all the way up. We'll have a little doorway or something going in there so that we can maybe have service areas in here, I guess. And I like the idea of this providing the fuel for that over there. Even though, yes, lava is a far more effective fuel source, I like the idea of saving up our lava for, I guess, more projects. Say I wanted to make another lava flow like this. That requires dozens and dozens, even up to 100 buckets of lava. And so having those stored in there ready to go is going to be ideal on such a small farm. So because we've just got a nice little farm, dripping lava into those cauldrons, saving it for future use just seems smart. And this is going to provide so much that I feel like we should be all right. Cool. All right, let me trade up my glass, build up a bit of a container around this, and then we'll flood it and see if it works. Yeah. In fact, why don't we do something like this? Yeah. So now we have a bit of a containment area around this. Now I'm keeping it fairly flat. We might add a few things like some fences and stuff around the outside, but mostly I want this to act like a large tank. So now that we've got most of that built up, we're going to put away a little bit of this. We're running out of space. And I want to grab some water buckets. So we might grab 1, 2, 3, and there's got to be room somewhere. Okay. I'm also going to grab whatever kelp I have available, which is potentially nothing. Huh, kelp? Kelp? Kelp. Perfect. That will be enough to get us started. So now as we come over here, we're starting to get a little bit more depth to this area. We're starting to get more layers to it. And I can come over to this thing and just grab a piece of that. And with that, I should be able to fill up this whole tank to the top. And then we can just put ourselves A little bit of kelp in there and the whole thing will grow. Oh, we are going to have to be wary of that. Oh, interesting. That actually got rid of all of the water. Very interesting. It shouldn't really be a problem because the kelp will just grow up into that area anyway. So as long as we have everything from the top flowing down, it should be fine. And this should refill. But that is interesting. Like this. Yeah. Odd. And if that's the case, we'll do it from the top. It's just going to take a little bit more time. Yeah. All right. Give me a minute. There we go. So after a little bit of fiddling, I did manage to get it filled. As you can see, it does actually play around with the water supply a little bit. I think once we get all of the kelp blocks in here, it may help. But kelp blocks, just kelp. But I think it's always going to have a little bit of funny business going on. So for starters, I'm going to fill in the bottom of both sides. And then as we see it growing, I'm going to go each step up and hopefully get it all grown up to this level here, or close to it. It's never going to grow up that high, I just realized. That's okay though, because what we're going to do is add a line of hoppers along the top and actually raise this up just a little bit higher so that we have water flowing back down into the middle. So we'll leave that to grow for a little bit. Hopefully it works. And then I'll raise this up a little bit more. Ooh, I heard it. But did it do a thing? Let's see whether it flows up to the top. No. Wait. Interesting. So what's happening is it's actually getting rid of the water source here and not allowing it to flow up. I think it would work on these ones. In fact, let's try that because they have an additional block of water on the outside. So I may have to expand this glass out a little bit further, even just for the bottom. Very interesting. That one being so close at the bottom does seem to make it stop working. Let's see whether this one here goes up. I'm just going to have to wait for it to grow. There we go. So it looks like they fell down into there as well. But if it makes it past the area, it should flow up, right? We may have to entirely rethink this. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, give me a minute. Let's see if we can work this out. All right, a little trial and error later, I've managed to come up with something that works. We just need to stagger it a little bit to make the water flow properly, and now it does seem to be working pretty well. I've actually blocked off in front of each one, and the last thing that I need to do is just make this top layer of water flow a little bit. So, a couple of these. And once I've got this in, I will run you guys through what I've done. Unfortunately, I do have to do each one individually. Yeah. Give me a sec. And there we go. So now, rather than having everything flowing towards the middle, I've got everything coming up and the water supply goes on top of the first row of observers. And then every single one going down from there, the planted kelp that sits there permanently against that block and underneath where the piston fires is the source block. So this will turn the middle piece in front of these pistons into a source block, but because we have these trap doors or these fence gates here, it won't make the water flow out any further. Only this bottom line is open. So now all of that comes flowing down to the bottom here and we get a decent supply. So now what we can do is just probably flow all of our items through. And I think what we might do is see if we can squeeze it all inside of here. I like the idea of maybe bringing the water flow back down this way, up into here, and then feeding it across a line of smokers through the center. And that all leads out to the back here where we have a chest that has cooked or dried kelp. I think I can make it work. Now down this side, oh wait, where was that sitting? I do need to remove the glass from behind those. This allows the stuff that was just sitting there to flow down, and now the whole thing should be coming down this way. Perfect. So as you can see, it does create a decent little supply. Now, I'm going to get a few blocks. Hold on. Let's just grab a little bit of the cobble deep slate again. And I'm going to bring that down to this height. We'll get ourselves a few buckets of water. Oop. And maybe just throw away some kelp because we're going to have more than enough soon. And the last thing that I will need is probably, yeah, a bit of ice. But not that ice. That ice. So if we flow down here again, like so, I'm probably going to have to put a wall on the outside of there. But we're going to come 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then just here, we should be able to put down a sign there and a piece of ice. Now, that does mean that there is a chance that stuff will just sit on that piece of ice. I don't really mind. I don't think it's going to be too significant amount, and it may even be that it clumps up with other stuff and then flows across. We'll see. I'll do a little bit of testing. But that should get it to there. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And down here, I'm just going to pop down and come across into the center. So I should be able to count from the middle here. That's the center, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then that's the center, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. Oops, I need to go further. And then we'll do the same thing on this side, but I do just want to turn that into... Then, once again, lower that down. Maybe grab a few materials. I know this is probably never going to get seen again, like after this, but I like knowing that it is fully completed and filled in properly. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, a piece of ice, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is going to bring everything back here. Lovely. Now all we need to do is bring it up in front of this post here. So we can make a little water elevator, bring the stuff up into the center, close all of this stuff in, and we can put in some smokers. Let's do that. I think this is actually going to be really, really nice. All right, I'll be back in a sec. So I grabbed all of the kelp that has been created while I've been making this, and as you can see, everything is now flowing down the sides and up into this spot. From here, I should be able to create a little point where this comes out. Now, I might actually raise that and go like this, and then we can fill up the water in there. We're going to need a couple more water buckets. Hold on. So 1 there and 1 there. And then the water that we put there is going to bring that out over the top of these. So now I should be able to put some smokers just here. Maybe make 1, 2, 3, 4. I think 4 should be enough. And all of that should start flowing over top of it. It'll fill up the first one first, but I might make it so that it can fill that up and the overflow goes into a composter, creating bone meal, so that those are always full, ready to go. And then it'll be flowing in a way that I think it should be able to keep up. We'll see what the rates are like. I might make it so that I can lock the hopper at the end that composts it, and maybe we loop it back around. I'm not quite sure. But let me fiddle with that. I'm going to go make probably some of the first smokers I've made in this Let's Play. Do I have coal? I do. Let's see. There we go. No. I need some of these. Make some of those, and there. Let's start off with 4. If I place these along here and a couple of hoppers down, I'm going to have to make some more. And then, let me think on it. I've worked it out. With this last bit in here, just over the top of that, that should be where our dried kelp goes, and that will be where our bone meal goes. All I should need to do is get up here and put a piece of water here. Nice. Now, that should have started to fill into here, which it has. I've put the remaining stuff in. I'm going to try and grab all of the stuff that it made during that process, which I think I've spread out in, there we go, there's a couple there. And then we're just going to give this a little booster with some coal. And then from that point on, we shouldn't have to worry about fuel. So let's say, give it 8 for each. That's enough to smelt the full stack. And from there, I've got the crafting table as part of this line so that we have the room to walk past. We can grab what we need from here because that has a line of hoppers going under directly into there and turn it into blocks. And then if this isn't running and the hoppers fill up in here, anything that goes past is going to go through this composter and get turned into bone meal. Nice. But the beauty of it is This one here might burn a little bit more than is necessary, but I want to see how fast it flows. It probably won't keep up with this, but I mean, that hasn't gone down yet. That's still remained full. It may produce faster than this gets rid of it. Very interesting. So does that mean that if we let this run until it fills up all of the hoppers, that it's going to essentially run endlessly? Huh. There we go. First time I've ever made that. It's going to be slow going to start off with, but I'm hoping we should get enough to, oh, wait, there we go. To go pretty much permanently. Okay. So it does slow down. Interesting. It may be worth creating a way for me to lock all of those hoppers or lock these down here. In fact, that's not a bad idea. Putting some switches on the back of these so that we can lock them and stop the items from going through and cooking, and just letting the hoppers fill up would be smart. But all in all, that's not bad. Not bad at all. All right, I'm going to wait for all of that to cook, or at least for the coal to finish up. I'm going to let it fill up for a little while, and then we're going to smelt up a bit and see what happens. Now, should be able to just grab 1, 2, 3, 4, make up a couple of these, and once they're done, I will put them on the back and stop them from working. All right, I'll check back in once I've got it filled up, and then we'll maybe run it for 5-10 minutes and see how it performs. Yeah. Righto. So this has been going a little bit. I've sort of spread it out so that everything has a bit in there, but it's not quite full. After about 20 minutes of building, I decided while I was waiting, I would spend the time just adding a little bit of a building around this. Not fully detailed yet. I think I want to add some more pits and holes and stuff up through the side, and maybe a few more details, but got a little bit of something set up now, which looks all right. If we go up into the sky, yeah, it's a little building there now. And if we come over to this side, it's a little bit flat, but again, I'll add some more detail, might even make a little walkway down on the water's edge. I think that could look nice. So now the beauty of this is it should provide more fuel than it uses. So what I'm going to do here is, oh God, I've got so much junk in my inventory. Let's just make a little bit of space. We have 4, that's 7 of these. I'm going to put those in and just going to let it fire up and work away. That should start to pour a bunch of dried kelp into there. If we had 28, I want to see once those are all finished, whether or not we come out with more. But the general idea is that this is just going to continue to fill up all of those hoppers to the point where we have 5 stacks of kelp in each, plus the one in there. We'll have a total of 24 stacks of kelp. So up to about there, it could cook up in one sitting, and slowly we'll get a bit of a surplus going. Plus, while we're working around, if all of that is filled and it's waiting for us to cook some stuff, we can just turn it into bone meal. So I'm going to let that go for a little while, let it cook up what it has remaining. I'm going to clean up a few things, and then I think we'll pop in, see how much we have gained, and we'll call it an episode. I didn't end up doing my little farm for the glow lichen, but that's okay. I'm happy to just have achieved this and got something that is going to now work in the background while we do a bunch of other stuff around here, and that's going to fill up pretty consistently, and I think it should work really nice. So let me do some maintenance. Let me tidy up a few chests and bits and pieces while that cooks. And we'll see how much we get. Yeah, I kind of like it. It's very basic. It's very square and or rectangular, but I like it. I think it's cool. Okay, give me a sec. And it looks like that's all done. Everything has burnt. And yeah, perfect. So we started off with 28 blocks and we ended up with 62. Nice. So we actually over doubled the amount of kelp blocks that we had to go with. And that means that as I let this fill up again, or if I transferred it across more evenly, I would be able to continue to expand the amount of kelp blocks I have. So this is something that is not designed to be the most efficient. It's not designed to be something that is going to perfectly get me kelp blocks or anything like that. I could obviously go far higher scale than this if I wanted that, but this is something that can just work nice and quietly in the background. Well, quietly, it's very loud. But while we're around this area building, that's just going to continue to work, and I'll come back every now and again and check it. The only thing I might do is maybe add a redstone signal if I could squeeze it through here that makes it so that once all of these are full, maybe even that there is completely full, that I get a light or a redstone lamp showing lit up on the outside so that I could tell that it's completely full and ready to go. If I can manage that, I'll do it. If not, it's all right. But all in all, I am very happy with this, and I hope you guys enjoyed the episode too. There's a lot of fun, a little bit of trial and error working it out, but I think it's nice to just have this farm there because I would kind of like to maybe use these blocks for some building as well. They're kind of cool. They can be used to interesting effect. They can even be trash bags out in this city. But with that being said, we're getting to the end of the episode here. I'd like to thank my level 3 Patreon supporters for your continued support, and all my Patreon supporters. You guys are amazing and I appreciate it so much. Thank you guys for continuing to watch the series. If you like the video, please leave a like. I really appreciate it. And until the next episode, I hope you guys take care of yourself. Alright, take care everyone, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye. Whoop.